Understanding and managing time is one of the core pillars of digital tour operating. Shops and markets open and close, restaurant reservations need to be honoured, and tour guides need to be met on time at the right place. In this episode, I will explain how we designed Autoura to handle time and how our algorithms have evolved over the last few years. This is useful knowledge if you're designing experiences for us to digitally operate to your guests in your brand, or you just want to know more about what digital tour operating means. Firstly, let's talk about start times. Can you start now? Can you start tomorrow afternoon? For food tours, this is about knowing shop and market opening times. Becomes more complex when we incorporate human tour guides and attractions, as they can have different availability and start times on different dates, with all timing data coming from connected reservation systems. The second part of timing is pacing. Are you keeping pace with where you need to be? Can you stop for lunch or go into a shop? Do you have enough spare time? With current tour operating, the human tour guide handles all of this, but with digital tour operating, the platform needs to keep track of time and prevent any mistakes, such as arriving too early or, much worse, arriving too late. Enough theory. The best way to explain what is going on is to take a look at the 3 generations of algorithm we have developed so far. For this explanation, I'm going to use our London-based beef, borough market and beer tour. This route starts in Mayfair at a well-known meat restaurant, followed by a walk along the South Bank and a visit to Borough Market, and finally ends with a couple of craft beer places. This is one of the only routes that I have designed myself. Mostly I'm a techie, not an experienced designer. I'm sure you'll do a better job with your tours. So with the first generation algorithm, by knowing the opening times, we could calculate that it was possible to do this route on Fridays and Saturdays, but not on Sundays, as in 2019, Borough Market was closed on Sundays. This calculation fed into Discovery too. If you were looking for things to do in London on a Sunday, this route would not have been suggested in 2019. Overall, this is useful but not great. It solved some issues while I worked on other areas that needed to be developed in order to digitally operate tours at scale. In 2021, we introduced the second generation of the algorithm, this time with additional accuracy. We now take into account that different vehicles go different speeds and may go different roads. For example, if you are on a bike or scooter, you will travel faster than if you walk. So sometimes you can or must start later. Looking now at the beef, borough market and beer tour, you can immediately see the impact. The additional accuracy is really useful information for planning your day, especially if you want to go on a Sunday when Borough Market closes early. The availability algorithm feeds into Discovery too. If you're looking for a certain date and time, perhaps lunch tomorrow, we can be confident that a specific start time is possible. The algorithm also takes into account consumer preferences. For example, at Discovery, we can filter out long walks on people who have limited mobility or are travelling with young kids. Or we can avoid routing via steps if the guest is using a wheelchair or pushing a baby stroller. Sometimes avoiding steps requires walking a little further. The timing algorithm takes this all into account. The third generation, completed this year, is where we take the guest's real-time location and re-evaluate their progress against their schedule as the guest enjoys their experience, constantly checking that they are still on time. If they are not, we could automatically speed them up a little by cutting short some stops or slow them down if needs be. So what's coming next? More development work to handle edge cases, such as local ferries that depart once per hour. Sometimes it is possible to miss one ferry and catch the next and still be able to complete your experience as designed. Sometimes missing the ferry is a disaster. Wait times for robo-taxis. If the wait is likely 5 minutes or 20 minutes, the algorithm needs to take this into account. And enhanced logic for when we need to adjust the route because the guest is so far behind that they can no longer complete the experience as designed, not even with some speeding up like we currently do. This stuff is complex, but generally you don't need to know anything about how any of this works. You can design a route or you can enjoy an experience as a guest and it will just work. Magic. I consider this capability as table stakes for digital tour operating, something all of us in the sightseeing industry are going to evolve to as a trading model in the coming years. There's a lot more to digital tour operating than timing algorithms, but one topic at a time. Do subscribe if this sounds interesting and you want to follow along.